said what we said. And if somebody wants it, they have to go to court and ask for that recording to be released to the public because it's not public. So I'm doing it to protect us from what we say, when we say, and how we say it.
Have a second?
Second.
Mr. Garcia?
No, go ahead.
Okay, we have a first and
Okay.
okay,
Please
we
vote.
we have a first and a second.
Please vote.
Hey, Frank, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Mr. Garcia?
And I just want to say that
one of the
I'm
things I
opposed
think
to that. Out of 16
I know you're still
districts
seeing
that were,
the meeting, which is really cool.
surveyed,
One of the things that I think that I found kind of interesting is how Jessica Gonzalez Snaggletooth is just so full of herself.
again, it's the majority and the wishes to report it.
Thank you for understanding.
Hello?
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, regarding the it's actually very loud where you're at. Regarding the issue, the majority of the board switched. First, we had shortly after the elections, we had a majority formed, and then shortly we found out that that's out the window, according to the way the board voted regarding the attorney, and then regarding the forensic audit. That was very telling.
Well, it's unfortunate because I think one of the things that everybody ran on was bringing a little bit more transparency to BISD for the citizens of Brownsville. And I think one of the things that we found out was that there's absolutely no transparency. You know, again, they were wined and dined. Jessica Gonzalez was brought over back to the dark side to the point that nothing changes. Everything's the same. And that's what's really unfortunate because you expect that elections are going to bring about something a little bit different. We have gotten, as of right now, nothing different. And I think we're going to talk about the stipend right now. Is that correct?
Retention
Stipends
to be
next.
paid on or after December 20, 2022 to all full-time and permanent part-time employees who were employed as of September 1, 2022 and who remain employed on December 9, 2022 and substitutes who work 60 days or more during the period of August 16, 2022 through December 9, 2022 in the amount of $525.
I'd like to make a motion.
Forgot to do my favorite part. Ms. Garza had her hand raised, so just give her a second.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 525. I do want our teachers to know that it is 525. We have given you all 1,500 in June. You all do deserve more, but as a board and as a person who was elected, I want to continue giving our employees stipends. And if we give it all at once, next year we may not have funds to give to you all. So I want to make sure we have a healthy budget and we continue giving our employees some stipend or bonus in the in December. So this is why I'm going to motion the $525.
Second.
Ms. Valdez? Ms. Peña, you have a-
Yes, Dr. Gutierrez, I have a question on this because, and I agree, you know, for next year, for tomorrow, the next day, none of us know we're going to be here tomorrow. I want to help today. Right now, we're in need. We have $129 million unencumbered. This is a one-time fee. In my eyes, I say 1,000 minimum. That's the one-time expense of maybe $6 million. But my question is this, sir. So the attorney has to be, Mr. Robledo, can you answer that?
So I'm gonna answer it as a two-part question. ESSER funds is a federal fund. There is no fund balance. But what the district had done, we had reallocated cost to federal funds so that our local funds could be saved for the fiscal cliff that's going to happen, that will happen. I want to make sure that that's known, that in year 24, 25, those funds will be used to for that shortfall that will occur.
Okay, and with that said, Dr. Gutierrez. So I understand that some funds were taken from some of the schools that they didn't use that were ESSER funds in the library, and the funds were taken back out of the schools. Is that a true statement? Because I've asked and I haven't gotten a direct yes or no. So who may answer that question?
So, if you remember 2 years ago when we had the initial initiatives that were discussed, there's 26 initiatives. One of them is what I'm going to call, just to make it easy, the CNI plan. Within the CNI plan, there's 100 minor initiatives within that big 25% um, fund for closing the gap. And so there's one initiative that talks about providing library books to campuses. There is a timeline as to when those purchases were going to be occurred. Once that timeline has passed, usually the people who are in charge of that particular initiative will reevaluate and see what funds were left behind. And so, from what I understood, that those leftover funds were redistributed back to other CNI projects.
So, Dr. Gutierrez, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If some people or some of those people are saying that they were not aware they had a deadline, and that was given to them in writing, where they saw it, they have it, and the people who have responsible for getting that money spent. Because I've seen, people when they have money, have a deadline, they move because they want to get it. Well, yes, but I'm asking about money. So this money is put back in when you brought it back in. Did you leave it in the library? Or again, none of this went into the fund balance.
It did not go to the fund balance. It went back to the CNI plan.
And again, my colleagues, I'm sorry, $1,000 is the minimum that I would like to give, and I can't vote
We have
no.
a motion on the table.
I know, and I just want to know. I can't vote no. Don't give them 525 because I'd rather give something better than nothing. But understand, right now, Dr. Gutierrez, one-time expense, we could give $1,000. And right now, when people need it, because not everybody makes six figures, and our community is hurting, and we're the largest employer, and it breaks my heart that we don't take advantage of where we are with $129 million in unencumbered funds, that we could have that one-time expense of maybe the max 66,500,000 to give 1,000 to each employee would mean the world, and we'll show them we care about you, we need you, don't go
Thank
anywhere.
you, Ms. Peña. Just for clarity, just so that everybody understands, there is a motion on the table, and by law, we have to go by the first motion that's on the table. We are also in open public hearing. So is there anybody from the audience that would like to say something? Ms. Micaela Escobar? Let's stick to the rules of the public comment for 4 minutes.
May I say something before the public comment?
Go ahead.
Just I want to thank you for taking the initiative to give the employees a 525. Again, I cannot vote against it. 525 is better than zero, but because of all the issues that this district has gone through, especially because Dr. Gutierrez just mentioned, and I think everybody agreed with him, that every teacher has gone out above and beyond. FNS has served over how many thousands? 750,000 meals during COVID. Every employee has given more than what they should give, to this district. And I know and I understand that the comment up here was that we've already given them something, but we've also taken over 600 employees away from them to be able to burn their full-time employment. We burned them with 650 more jobs because we have less 600 something employees. And we've also increased their taxes. And we've also burdened them with a recession. And that's what we're going through. And this is the way I see it. $525, my hat's off to you guys. Great. But I think this district can do more. And knowing that, and I understand ESSER monies are in place, and I know that went out before we actually got elected and set aside those monies. But everything can change depending on the dynamics. And the dynamics today are not the same ones when you took that first vote. I do applaud you guys for doing that at the beginning, but we are in a different day today, and BISD is in a different place. And we just comment to everybody that we're doing such a great thing. We are an A district. It shows us on over there. Our report card is over the double A's. I think we can because this fund balance, and I know that they talk about it, we don't know the cliff, but we do know that we have it today. We might not be here tomorrow, right? We might not be here tomorrow. But we do know that you deserve more than what you get. And I maybe you will see it in your heart to mend your motion and do that, because 525 after taxes becomes about $240. Just want to throw it out there. And they're saying that it might not happen now, but at the end when they pay taxes, it's about $240. So I mean, I would support you guys at 525, but if you could amend your motion to do that, Miss Peña said 1,000. I was thinking 1,250, but whatever you guys decide, I will vote for 525.
Just wanted to keep in mind that we do have somebody from the audience standing there kindly waiting. Was she? Okay.
Dr. Gutierrez, can you let our audience know 525 that with the taxes they will not be taking home $250? Can you just verify that for
Correct.
us?
Correct. I will, but it's going to be around the 500 mark.
No, Mr. Robledo, can you tell us how much taxes are going to be taken from the 525?
It'll be fine. It'll be the net will be about $500
So they'll only take $25 for taxes,
for Medicare.
but so nothing else. You're guaranteeing them a $500 check.
I cannot do that.
You cannot do that, so then it'll be less.
The way that you're asking, that's not
Well-
a way for me to respond.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
that's a
well,
modest-
let's say you're going to give me 500 something, but I got to pay taxes on it. What am I going to take home? How hard is that?
Okay, Ms. Escobar, I want to say you don't need a timekeeper. I'm going to trust you, ma'am.
I promise.
Because
it's
if I
short and
don't give
sweet.
you a timekeeper, I don't give anyone else a timekeeper.
It will be short and sweet.
Whispers to Miguel, timekeeper. Go ahead.
Good evening again. My name is Micaela Escobar, and I am the AOBE, TSTA, and NEA representative. As being an affiliate with the National Association, we do have resources and we do have a financial consultant that looked at BISD's financial reports. NEA has mentioned, after reviewing the financial reports, that BISD could easily cover an additional cost at a larger stipend with the unassigned general fund and the unspent ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds. Furthermore, as stated in the BISD agenda item for 525 stipend for 6,143 employees, it's going to cost about $3.6 million. Now, by adding or increasing to 1,350, we're aiming high, it will cost an additional 4.7. Now, what resources do you have? Again, this is coming from a financial consultant from NEA. You have $132.2 million in the fund balance as of July 1st, 2022. The source is, of course, our BIC financial report as of November 30, 2020. You also have $5.6 million in ESSER 2 and 3 that were budgeted for school year 22-23, but were not spent and disencumbered as of November 30th, 2022. That gives you a total of $182.8 million available funds compared to the 8.3 million for a 1,350 retention stipend. Now, I did take some notes. Mr. Eddie Garcia said, rocket scientist, there's a shortage of employees everywhere. That is true. We go to restaurants and we can see that. Mr. Elizondo mentioned that we are fighting, and I commend HR for that. We are going everywhere trying to recruit employees. But what are we doing to retain tenured employees? Now, if we look at the vacancies, or not the vacancies, the tenured employees, again, looking at statistics provided by BISD to TEA, the average years of teachers in BISD is 15.5 years compared to the state 11.1. If you compare only within BISD, it's 14.8 compared to the state of 7.2. We have a lot of tenured employees that are still here and fighting to teach our kids. Show them you appreciate them. Lastly, Amy Campbell from the Division Director of TASB HR Services said, quote, Stipends are allowable expenses under the ESSER funds. So many school districts have additional monies to spend this year. She was referring to the billions in federal funding earmarked for Texas districts to help recover from the pandemic. She also stated a one-time payment is easier to accomplish because it doesn't impact your budgets like a pay-raise would. Now, if you don't spend the ESSER funds, she said, it will expire. So show your employees that you care and you value them. Show them that, yes, we're going through an inflation. We have higher costs in groceries. You're going through a lot. A lot of people are still getting sick. Medication isn't cheap. So show them that you value them. You can afford it. And if you need to talk to the NEA financial consultants, let me know. I'll hook you up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Escobar. Ms. Angie, were you going to say something, or were you just there for moral support?
No, I got
I'm sorry, Ms.
inspired.
Alegría.
I
Oh.
heard her and I got inspired. I'm not gonna do money. I'm not gonna do amounts and like Micaela's good at that. But I'll tell you how it affects us. I just paid my son's college tuition. He's going to college. But here was the choice. Do you want a Christmas gift or do you want your college education? My kids are not getting Christmas gifts. I can't afford them. All right. I know I'm not the only one in this boat. And I have been a loyal employee for 37 years. And for those 37 years, you're telling me Merry Christmas, here's $528, $525, because you're doing an awesome job. Think about all those teachers, all those employees that don't have the money this Christmas. But you know what? We have a very healthy fund balance that's going to be there. For what, 3 years from now? 2 years from now? We need the help now. We need it right now, not 2 years from now. I may not be here 2 years from now, but I am here today. And I'm asking you to please show everyone some respect, some gratitude for everything that they do. We work so many hours without pay. On the weekends, on weekdays, look where we are right now. Look at the time. It's past my bedtime. I go to bed at 9. But I'm here. Why am I here? Am I here for me? I'm not here for me. I mean, sure, it's going to help me out too. But how many thousands of employees are out there that are not here in front of you right now, that are in high need? Because guess what? We're in the middle class. So we don't get any help from anybody. We're on our own. And shame on us for going and getting a bachelor's degree. Shame on us for getting a master's degree. Shame on you, Maggie, for getting a doctorate degree. Because instead of feeling valued for what we do, we feel undervalued. And that's not how we should feel. And I appreciate 525. But we are in great need right now. The inflation rate is still higher than our salary. We are barely making ends meet. So all I ask, put your hand over your heart. Think about all those parents that are going to have to tell their kids, you know what, mijito? Well, we had enough for dinner, but there are no gifts under the Christmas tree. Think about it, please. 1,200 would be great. 1,000 would be great too.
Thank you,
But
Ms.
please don't go with 525. Amend it, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alegría.
Good evening, President Gonzalez, members of the board, Dr. Gutierrez, and esteemed guest. My name is Adina Alegría, Executive Director of Texas Valley Educators Association. Henry Frederick Emil said that thankfulness is the beginning of gratitude. Gratitude is the completion of thankfulness. Thankfulness may consist merely of words. Gratitude is shown in acts. So on behalf of Texas Valley Educators Association members, I would like to thank this administration for the discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a retention stipend of $525. By considering this retention stipend, this administration is showing an act of gratitude to the employees of the Brownsville Independent School District. You're making employees feel valued, and you will ultimately help them be more at ease at the holidays or much needed respite. So for this, and on behalf of all our members, I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alegría. Mr. Ramirez?
Good evening, Board President. Is it on? Yes. Board President Gonzalez, Dr. Gutierrez, board members, and the audience out there. I was up here a couple of months ago, and I spoke about the top 12%, the top 12 employees, highest paid employees, $2.1 million. I want you to think about that, $2.1 million. And they're not the backbone. The backbone of this institution are the teachers, custodians, bus drivers, counselors, administration at the schools, maintenance, all of those people are the backbones. 1,200 is nothing compared to 2.1 million to the top 12 highest paid employees. That was 2 years ago. Now it's more than that. Now it's more than that. Something to ponder. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Mr. Hamas?
Thank you. Thank you, Board President Gonzalez, Dr. Gutierrez, members of the board. Patrick Hamas, speaking on behalf of BEST, Brownsville Educators Stand Together, and AFT, American Federation of Teachers. I want to go a little different route. You know, I look at it anytime a stipend comes out, you're given something that's not in your contract. You're getting a gift horse, and we're going to look at it and we're going to accept it. But there are a couple of other things that have come up, and we're talking about retention. We're talking about showing loyalty and fidelity to our employees. And one of the ways you do that, and I appreciate the data that Micaela shared, she was spot on the average of 15 and a half years of an employee. That means they've got at least 15 years left to contribute to this district, if not more. And one of the things that I've been told is that we are going to be discontinuing the resignation incentive at the end of this year. I can understand where we are looking at financial difficulties and we want to be conservative with our money for down the road. I can understand that. But for somebody who has committed 30 years to the district or more, their entire career, they have shown faith and fidelity to us. And then with those people with a 30 or more years, I believe that we need to show good faith by giving them a stipend at the end of the year. We have done this for years. It is one of the most popular incentives that is provided to our employees. It is showing current employees that, hey, I dedicated my career to BISD and I get rewarded at the end of the year. In the past years, you've gone down from 15 years up to 40 years. I would ask you to look at employees who have worked 30 years or more and look at giving them a $3,000 stipend at the end of the year. We've already talked about where next month we're going to start the budget process. I want to do the research like we've always done. Pretty sure we're going to ask you for a raise. Okay. How much? Don't know. What's the state ledge going to do? Got no idea. I do know that AFT at the state level, part of our respect us and expect us, is we are asking the state for a $10,000 raise for all teachers and a 15% raise for all classified from the state. So when we're talking about everything, it would be nice to give more, but at the same time, a raise, when it's given, stays with you. And then the faith and fidelity that you should give back to your employees who have done 30 years or more, they should be rewarded, and we need to budget that for the end of the year. It's Christmas time. Any gift is appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hammonds. And with that, I will close the public hearing, and let's remember that we do have a motion on the table.
Ma'am, may I?
Ms. Peña?
And I really would like to, Denise, plead with you to reconsider. Because they're gonna turn around and take more than the $25. I did the math because I talked to an accountant before, and you're looking at 25 to 15% of it. So I really am pleading with you. We have the money now.
I would
Let's
like to
thank
call
them.
a question.
Thank you. We do have a motion. We've had a call to question, so let's vote, guys.
May I have a
Thought-
second?
I thought she
I
said.
second. Okay. Please vote.
And it's with a broken heart that I approve 525 because I know we could do 1,000. I'm sorry. I stand firm on that.
Ms. Garza? Motion passes 7-0 unanimous.
Item number, I'm sorry. Yes, please.
To all our staff out there, I want to continue giving each and every one of you a raise during our budget process. We don't know what the budget process is going to look like this year, what fundings we're going to look at. If it means bringing our teachers closer again to market value, I'm going to work hard for that. We have been a board who has been giving. We have given in June and we have given in December. And if we want to continue with that process, we need to be fiscally responsible. So I'm focused on giving our employees raises to bring them up closer and to work on the compression that we have currently right now in our district. I would love to give you all more, but we also need to work on our salaries.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Let's move forward.
Item 5, recommend approval to declare surplus obsolete furniture, supplies, equipment, vehicles, and portable buildings to be disposed in accordance with.
So there you have it, folks. Very interesting. Again, elections have consequences, and we thought that when this new board would come in, it would form a majority. But what we saw that has transpired since the election has been that board president Jessica Gonzalez, who everyone assumed and thought that she would be part of the majority with the new incoming board, turned her back. And those same people that elected her to be board president, she pretty much sided with the other people. Now, very quickly, I just want to state, and Lonnie says it best, they ignored your voices. And one interesting note that board member Minerva Peña stated was that there is money currently right now in BISD funds to provide raises. Now, 525 was agreed upon, and you have to understand something is better than nothing, but I'm all favor the 1250 that Mr. Carlos Elizondo proposed. Now, your question would be, why are we only getting 525? We understand that there is a fine line whenever, and especially we have to understand there's 6,000 employees. We have the largest district south of San Antonio. But whenever we look at the big picture, ladies and gentlemen, We have $1.2 million that are unaccounted for. We have vendors being given money galore. But when it comes down to what is important to give back and compensate those that really matter, the employees, not right now. We're working on it. We'll see what we can do down the road. Again, this is something very difficult moving forward. But one thing that I do want to stress is what is one way in which your partner, whether that be in a in a personal relationship with a friend, with a family member, parents to a child, or even a an intimate relationship. Is it through words, the I love you? If a father says to the child, Miko, I love you, but doesn't provide, but doesn't give them shelter, doesn't give them a home, doesn't give them resources, money to be able to make something out of themselves, what is that child going to think? Well, my dad says that he loves me, but he doesn't give me anything. He doesn't give me food. He doesn't give me shelter. He doesn't give me comfort. Same analogy that I use with the teachers. We can tell the teachers all we want that they're the best. Let's not forget, we are only 2 years from COVID. And what did we see during the COVID-19 pandemic? We saw very difficult times. People were very sick. People were dying. And what do we expect from the teachers? We expected them to work. And let us not forget, ladies and gentlemen, during the COVID-19 pandemic, our teachers, our employees were stretched very, very thin. Why? Because they had to do in person instruction, virtual learning, they had to grade papers, prepare lesson plans. I would get messages from teachers saying, my workday does not stop until 7, 8, sometimes 9 p.m., depending. Depending on the class circumstances and the day, of course. But many teachers complained and said, Frankie, I don't even have time to take care of my own family. I don't even have time to check my child's work. And have funds been given out to the teachers? Yes, there have been some studies in which these previous board members have wanted to give and compensate the teachers at market value. But again, it all goes down. It all goes down to not words, but actions. Actions speak louder than words. And what do we see? We saw, according to board member Minerva Peña, that BISD does have funds in their budget in order to do it now. And again, why are we waiting down the road? And I understand being fiscally responsible. We could all understand that. As board members, these individuals are entrusted with the responsibility of being very frugal with our money, being very smart, being responsible with our money. But I'm going to say something, and it might come out very bad. We give money to vendors galore. And the way these vendors work, ladies and gentlemen, is if a service is worth $1, they'll charge you 150, 175, 2, 3, 4, $5, depending on how much they could get away with. And what do we see? We see these individuals being given those hefty contracts. We see these individuals being given lucrative contracts in the thousands, hundreds, if not millions of dollars. But when it comes to the teachers, I'm going to give you the minimum, 525. And I understand there are going to be people out there that are going to say, hey, well, they're the gatekeepers. And Gallegos makes an interesting point. These board members that were against it. And again, everybody was in favor of the 525, but we had Mr. Carlos Elizondo, Ms. Minerva Peña being vocal and saying, look, I'll vote for the 525, but let's do a little bit more. Let's give them 1,000. Let's give them 1,250 after taxes. I don't believe that we're just going to take away the $25. We all know how that works. If we do the math, Texas being a tax-free state, if you multiply 525 times 30%, that's 160. So 525 más o menos 158 ponle, that's 367. If according to the 30% average in which we are all taxed. But again, are our board members that simply wanted to give the bare minimum, are they in tune with what is going on? We heard that this previous board raised the taxes. They did give the employees a slight raise, but with the insurance going up, it's technically a wash. But it is very important what Buck Fiden states. We need to vote. We need to be part of the electoral process. It is unfortunate that we did see today the true colors of certain individuals. And I'm not saying that these individuals don't care about the teachers, that they don't want to give them money. No, I generally believe that these individuals that they care and they genuinely want to give. But there's one thing of wanting and another thing of actually doing it. Again, we saw firsthand. We would think, oh, the teachers, they deserve it. And there's people on both sides of the aisle that say, you know what? They knew what they were getting into. They're stuck with that bill and that amount of payment, and so be it. But again, we have to take care of those that take care of us, that take care of our future generations. It's not easy. And teachers, administrators, counselors that are messaging me right now, thank you. Thank you for reaching out and voicing your displeasure. We understand that you can't. And I got two phones here, ladies and gentlemen, buzzing. They're literally buzzing. I got a wire headphone and the AirPods on. I'm getting messages galore. But thank you for reaching out. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But there's some people on that board that just want to give you the bare minimum. It is time for us to take moments like these and take action. We can say that, this board does not care about us. There's only a few that care about us, but we must take action. Another interesting, and we understand what is going on. Earlier during the board meeting, there was this comment saying that, we're losing teachers by the hundreds. And we understand that this is a statewide issue, but the main way, and Dr. Gutierrez and board member Eddie Garcia did state, compensation is important in retention. Why? Because it goes back to what we previously mentioned. How can I tell my spouse, my partner, my lover, my friend that I care for her, that I care for him, but I'm not putting in the work? I'm not demonstrating with my actions. I'm not doing anything to demonstrate to them that I actually care. It is very important to us to recognize, and He-Man Schwarzenegger makes a very good point. Teachers, do you get paid to I was going to say dress your room, but organize your room? From my understanding, this is an out-of-pocket expense that teachers have to make at the beginning of the year. They only get a certain amount of material, instructional material, and things to put on the wall and decorate your room and make it nice and presentable for the teachers. But He-Man Schwarzenegger makes a good point. Teachers have to pay out of pocket for supplies, for trips for students. Teachers deserve more than a bonus. Teachers are humans too and have payments and a family to worry about that too. This is the time where we should be jolly, where we should be welcoming these days of festivities. We just passed Thanksgiving and we're slowly coming up upon Christmas, a day in which we celebrate and give gifts to others, and we show and demonstrate our love and appreciation for them and say, hey, look, there's a little token of my love, of my appreciation towards you. That's one thing that this board could have done. Again, we welcome 525. I don't want to sound like a broken record and say it's nothing, because it's something. But at the end of the day, when we come look at it with stepping back and looking at the big picture, it's not enough, and it's never going to be enough. There's a famous saying that that I learned during uh, my campaign trail. The teachers, if we were able to afford them, if we were to pay them, if we were ever able to pay the teachers what they were worth, we would not be able to afford them. Giving back to the teachers is very, very important. But what we fail to recognize is the struggle that they go through. We're just coming off of COVID, which we're still kind of like one foot here, one foot there. But our teachers are underpaid, Virginia, and we can compare. We can compare to the rest of the state, but here, here we are a large entity, which is BISD. Virginia makes a great point. Inflation, rent is extremely high. A carton of eggs, milk, bread, toothpaste, just about everything is a lot more expensive. So how can we expect, and look, we understand that these board members will continue to try and give back. I don't want y'all to think that, oh, Frankie, you're being negative and 500 is better than nothing. We agree, but we want more. And Ramirez, Mr. Ramirez, made a very interesting point that whenever we give a certain small percentage of raises to paraprofessionals, to employees, it doesn't equate, it doesn't compare to the raises that higher administration, the superintendent, gets. And I want to go back and think about the clause in Dr. Rene Gutierrez's contract. I think there's a clause in his contract that if the teachers get a raise, he gets a raise, the same percentage. But again, you can't compare 300 and let's say $300, 300K flat that the superintendent's salary makes. Let's say 300K flat, 5% compared, or 3% compared to 3% of a teacher at $45,000. We can't compare that. If I'm not mistaken, that is the clause in his contract. Very quickly, the wrong people are making the big bucks, and I totally agree. I will have to watch this later. I can't stop watching the live meeting. It actually is going on live. I am streaming it on my page. If you do want to go back and hear for yourself, but we focused on providing you a show with the important topics that were going on during this board meeting, this special board meeting that was canceled last week. Lonnie says, I am lost for words for your educators. I'm sincerely sorry for all those people leading you and making decisions that affect your salaries and whether or not you can pay the higher bills. It is very important for us to recognize that the teachers are in the trenches. So, Mr. Soto, Mr. Sergio Soto, they're in the trenches. They are the ones that are having to deal with our future generation. And it's not easy. A lot has changed from when I went to school, from when you went to school, to this newer, young, have no respect generation. But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Miss Lonnie, Miss or Mr. Lonnie, I'm not sure who it is, to be honest. Denise showed her colors to all of you. Con una señora llorando, she moved forward with her motion. And that was a very compelling speech by, what's her name, Angie? Let me, was it Angie? Let me see. Angie, yes, she made a very compelling speech that some people aren't able to afford Christmas gifts. They're not able to share that love, that joy during these days of festivities. And you would think that with a person crying and pouring her heart and soul into her speech, and you could tell it wasn't scripted. It came from the heart. It was an impromptu. She wasn't even going to speak, and she started crying, and she said, "Many people, many people can't afford Christmas gifts. Do what's in the best interest of your educators, of those people that have to do that have to deal with the rigors of education. And education, as we all know, is not easy. And Mr. Hector Padron could agree with me when he says, if only those people would go in for a day to see what the teachers have to deal with. And he's absolutely correct. Another thing that I do want to uh, Maria Flores solution. Stop being tax dollar employees, join the private sector, and earn your keep. Yes, we understand that there are those people that say, "Hey, well, you knew what you were getting yourself into. You knew the pay. Uh, Deal with it." But again, we have a lot to be thankful for our educators. Um, I would echo Mr. Pardon's comment. You know, me being a former wanting to be a former educator. I went to school to become an educator, and then last minute I decided not to. It's not easy, again, but we would hope that our board would give a lot more. Again, uh, actions, not words. Another talking point that I did want to discuss was the forensic audit. There was a lot of back and forth earlier, if you watched the stream, regarding the forensic audit. Now, to be clear, there was a audit conducted by um, a CPA, the Cascos firm, which, according to the paper, the Bronzo Herald, it does state that there was a clean audit that was done, and I totally agree with you, um, Denise Yvonne. We just want some RASPCT. Find out what it means to me. Aretha Franklin said it best. So, what exactly did they decide, Miss Parker, regarding the bonuses? They did vote a 7-0 vote to award the employees a stipend of $525. The issue is how much of that money would go in taxes. But going back to the forensic audit, um, the board at BISD has not done a forensic audit since 2011, 2012. You're talking about 10 years. And if we look at the magnitude and just how big BISD is, it has a budget of $500 million. It's a Fortune 500 company that we're dealing with. And those people that I reach out to and talk to and ask for opinions, I do have some auditor friends, some CPA friends, and I do ask them, hey, with a large company the size of BISD, what is your opinion as to how often a forensic audit should be conducted? Is it one every 3 years, one every 5 years? And they said, Frank, with over $500 million, you need a forensic audit every year, every 2 years. If you want to stretch it, every 3 years. Why? Because there's so much money going out that you want to know where your losses are going, where you are strong, what needs to be addressed, what's in the red. You always need to keep track of these things. And you would think that the size of BISD, we would have these forensic audits on a more consistent basis. Now, I don't want to uh, l- mislead the public and say that there is no accountability at all at BISD and everybody's running amok. And No, but we have heard of instances as of late that show that over $1.2 million went missing, according to Maggie, according to our famous Maggie. It went to some Nigerian prince, and some people are going to say, well, that's what the insurance is for. Yes, insurances do cover it, but that does affect their overall budget because that's 1.2, $1.3 million that shouldn't have gone out. We want more accountability. And there was an interesting back and forth that I noticed between Denise Garza, Eddie Garcia, board members Denise Garza, Eddie Garcia, and Carlos Elizondo regarding, well, why do we need a forensic audit? We get audited all the time. Well, the issues were that there have been some misdealings, and according to Micaela in her during the public speaking, uh, public comment section of the board meeting, she states that there are questionable construction deals that, according to sources, they are tied to the assistant superintendent. Now, we do understand that these forensic audits are expensive. We do understand that these are very extensive and very intricate, um, because you need to go back X amount of years and look at deposits, withdrawals, and look at so much data, and you need to analyze that to be able to present a report. So it is expensive. We do understand that, but we feel as if this is something that is very necessary. Why? Because of the recent $1.2 million that is being investigated right now. We did have there is allegations that a construction company is benefiting from the relationship with an assistant superintendent. That's another issue, and it's a very important issue that we do need to look more into. Also, let's not forget the elephant in the room. Brownsville got another black eye 2 years ago whenever we did have a former board member who was found guilty for bribery charges. And again, you would think that shortly after the conclusion of that trial, the board members would welcome a forensic audit just to see, hey, we had somebody that had her hand in the cookie jar. Is there something that we need to investigate? You would think that the logical answer would be yes, it would, right? But not in BISD. That was another issue, the forensic audit, which they tabled. They want to come back and they want to go and speak in executive session, and they will be coming back to that to discuss that further. So that's something that we will be following, moving forward. The last thing that I want to talk about is the board attorney. We did hear how there was a motion on the agenda to fire O'Hanlon, the school board attorney, which has a year and a half, I want to say, possibly going on 2 years, that he has been the board attorney. This agenda item was placed by Mr. Carlos Elizondo and seconded by uh, board member Frank Ortiz. And the idea was that the community has lost faith in O'Hanlon and his services. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, public, correct me if I'm wrong, but board member Minerva Peña did state that she was not in agreement. I'm not sure if she was speaking about the previous board attorney or this current board attorney when she says that she was misled or that she was given uh, wrong information. I have to go back and check how it was voted on, but the agenda item to fire the board attorney was voted no, unfortunately. It was a very busy day for myself, lots of action. The board meeting is still going on right now. It's going on over 4 hours. We do anticipate them going to executive session later on today to possibly discuss the very issue of that forensic audit. Um, it is very telling, ladies and gentlemen. And again, elections have consequences, and the community had hope. The community had hope because we felt that it was finally shifting the tide for a new majority to come in and do what is in the best interest of the people. And when I was at that swearing in ceremony, all we heard from the public comments was, "We have hope. We look forward to what this new majority is going to bring." Only, only to find out that the individual that was named board president, she didn't side with those individuals that voted her to be board president. Now, what deal was made since the swearing in ceremony? Again, we're only a few weeks away from that. What was promised to her? Because how quickly things have changed. It is our hope and desire and prayer that we continue to be vocal. You and I, a good point. Thank you for bringing that up as well. The employee survey is thank you for bringing it up, David. Is also an issue that was shot down, and you would think, why are these? And somebody comment, I believe Lonnie, if you're watching, Lonnie stated, "Why are you scared of a survey? It's just a survey. Do we not want to know what our employees feel? Because it's one thing uh, for I to come on before you and say, XYZ, the teachers need more compensation. The teachers feel trampled on. The teachers feel disrespected. You would think that if I told you that, you would say, this guy just being negative. He's just trying to, you know, make his point, and he's got an agenda." But whenever we hear it from those individuals that it affects the most, the employees, they voted down no. And I think the vote was 3-4. And again, you would think, and we understand, their reasoning was that it was expensive, that I guess they had an idea of the sense of the community, of the teachers, according to them. But what's your take on it, David? You would think that they would welcome this to know how they feel. A forensic audit should be done annually, and well, lie detector tests to keep the ratas at bay. And you're right. The size of BISD does merit a forensic audit to be done every year. That way, we can make sure that everything is going according to plan, and that no money is being swindled, uh, and that our board members are being responsible with our money. Frankie, can they change the amount anytime soon of the stipend? I don't think so, man, because again, you have to understand the totality of BISD. It's 6,000 employees. So just think of all the work that they have to do from here to when they receive that money. It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of preparation, a lot of planning. And just imagine for them to scrap that and say, "Oh no, it's going to be 1,000 now instead of 525." Like, oh crap. So they're going to have to um, recorded. They're gonna have to scramble. Is it possible, Vicente? It's possible, but honestly, let's not hope on. Let's it's something that is far fetched. Is it possible? It's possible. They could have you know, a revelation late at night and say, you know what, I was wrong. Let's change it. Let's modify it. We're not going to be Scrooges. Let's give the employees $1,000. Is it possible, Vicente? It's possible. Would I bet money on it? No, because again, there's a lot of preparation, a lot of timing um, that these individuals have to go through the finance department, through the auditing department, through legal, through it has to go through so many channels in order for it to get from now, from when they voted, to the bank accounts, to the bank accounts that will be receiving those funds. Miss Lori says clear that Denise Garza does not support the teachers. Again, it is very telling when individuals who, according to board member Minero Peña, stated that there is funds available and we live in the now, Miss Lori, because Mr. Carlos Elizondo, board member Mr. Carlos Elizondo, and board member Minera Peña did state, hey, might not make it tomorrow. Let's give today. That was that was something very big that was stressed. Let's focus on right now. But we've been hearing several of those comments, Miss Lori, regarding Miss Denise Garza, and to all the teachers and to all the individuals on tonight. And uh, we had great numbers today on our viewership. We hope that these issues, these pressing issues, I got you, my man. I'll text you right now as soon as I get off. Uh, I'll take care of your perrito. um, we had great numbers today, amazing numbers, awesome viewership, and I always focus on the viewership because I want to know what's out there, the sentiment of the people, and many comments here. It was evident that they weren't happy with the results. They weren't satisfied with what was presented, which was voted on. But what we do on here and come before you is only a small part of the whole process. We must continue to be vocal, you and I. We must continue to take part in the electoral process. And look, ladies and gentlemen, these individuals that are put on that board, you could tell many of them were reading scripts. Do you think it's them that write that? Do you think it's them that think of these ideas? No. There's a machine, ladies and gentlemen, that controls the county, the city, the port, and the school district. We are going up against a machine, ladies and gentlemen, with a budget that is fighting to keep their hands on that budget of $500 million. I encourage each and every one of you to be vocal. And I understand that individuals have fear of retaliation. Send us messages. Go on YouTube. You can create an anonymous profile and be vocal. We want people to uh, to voice their opinion. It's not easy coming up before you. Erasmo, Maggie, Susan, myself, Sam. We have targets on our backs, and it's very difficult. But we are encouraged by getting messages on our phones. We are encouraged by individuals that do want to see a better Brownsville, that do want our teachers compensated, that do want our employees, most importantly, pardon, if you're watching, Padron, what we want more than money is respect. RESPCT. Find out what that means to me. Money is great, but whenever we don't have that conviction that those that are before us, that they don't respect us, it's the worst thing. It's a knee to the gut. It's a slap in the face. It's as if somebody was spit in our face. I encourage my friends and the viewers to take part of the electoral process. We take great pride in coming on before you each and every night. That way we can present the information that is vital to each and every one of us. Why? Because we genuinely want a better Brownsville. We want to be that city on the hill. Unfortunately, all we've had these past years, decades, is corruption, is arrests, is board members uh, taking taking money that's not theirs. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, ladies and gentlemen. Erasmo Castro should be on tomorrow and on Wednesday. If not, we will be more than gracious to come before you again. What we do is not easy, but this fight that we're in it for the long haul. We might not win today, we may not win tomorrow, but we're gonna win. I encourage you to take part of the process. Encourage others to stand up and be vocal. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Hope you guys have a beautiful Tuesday night. God bless.